Hi, and welcome to video 35 in my series on the FlyLady system. If you haven't seen my previous videos, please click the playlist below and watch them in order, one a day. The first video is just about getting started. Then there are 31 baby steps, and those are the habits that you are building into routines that are the foundation for the whole system. Once you feel good about those routines and you've kind of internalized them and they're just becoming much more automatic, then you can move on to the other components of her system. One of the things that she talks about is menu planning, and that's usually the habit of the month for November. But I wanted to talk about it now because I think menu planning and grocery lists and what are we feeding ourselves for dinner is a major source of stress for a lot of people. If you find yourself opening the fridge at like 7 o'clock at night, everybody's starving, what's for dinner, you don't know, this can save you from that. I have done menu planning since before I found the FlyLady, but I like that she incorporates this as part of her system because I think it does help to minimize the stress and it helps your household to run better. If you're like me, you're the one in charge of cooking. And, you know, whether that's fair or not, it doesn't matter. You have to eat too. And if it falls on you, you know, it can be a lot of pressure. And when you're tired at the end of the day, you don't want to think about this anymore. You know, it's just one more thing on your plate. I'm going to show you what the FlyLady has available, some of the things she has available to you. And then I want to talk to you about how I menu plan, which is not necessarily the same as what FlyLady tells you. So I'm going to move this, and I'm going to grab my control journal. So your control journal really can be your everything book. I don't use it that way, but you certainly could. And mine has the potential for that. I will go over that more in depth when I make my control journal video. But for now, I just went on to, well, not for now, this was a long time ago, I went onto the FlyLady website and I just typed in menu planning in the search bar at the top. And you get all kinds of things that come back. One of the things that she suggests is that you keep a well-stocked pantry, and that would also include like a refrigerator and a freezer. When you have her ideas, when you have a well-stocked pantry, you can make anything. And you can just, you know, throw things together on the fly. I don't necessarily agree with that or do that because I find that I don't have extra money to buy things I'm not necessarily going to use, and I am not a super creative person in the kitchen. I follow recipes and I try to be, you know, I try to bring in new recipes, but I'm not like a person that just cooks from instinct or anything. And so there are things that, you know, are on her list that I would never need because I'm not going to make anything that has that in it. And if I am, it'll be something specific that I'm buying for that week. So just to give you an idea, this is a perpetual pantry list. Let me just pick up the camera and show you a little bit. And so she has this on her website, and you can just print it out, and it's just an extensive list of all kinds of things that you might keep in your kitchen. It's actually 2 pages. So she has, you know, all of these things, and she says, you know, if you go out and you get all this stuff, you could basically make a whole bunch of stuff, which I'm sure that you could. But for example, she has on here under seasonings mace. I've never even heard of that as a seasoning, only as the medieval weapon or the thing you spray in a bad guy's eyes. So, you know, I would never buy that. I don't even feel like I've ever seen it in the grocery store, but not that I ever looked. So, she provides this. This could be a good starting point for some people. Some of you might be creative cooks and you just need a well-stocked pantry. Another thing she provides is a master grocery list. This is super generic. It says things like pastas, dairy products, junk snack food, beverages, juices. But just looking at this list, might give you, might trigger your brain to think, oh yeah, I need some of that stuff too. So this is something she provides. She also provides one sample menu for a week. And before I show you that, I just want to talk about how she says you can build a menu plan if you're, struggling to do that. So one idea that she has that I think is a really good idea is every day for a week or 2 weeks or a month or however long you want to do it, after you serve your family dinner, write down on a piece of paper what you served. Just write down the menu for that night. So if that night you had hamburgers and fries and potato salad or something, I don't know, you're just going to write it on a piece of paper. Or you can write it on your calendar. And the next night you have, baked chicken and green beans and mashed potatoes, write it on your calendar or write it on your list. After a week, you have a whole week's worth of menu to use in the future. And if you do that for, say, a month, you have a whole month of menus. So it doesn't require you to be really creative because you just created it from what you know your family will already eat. So that's certainly a really good idea. And I do go back and look at old weeks' menus to get some ideas of what I'd like to make for that week. And I just have always done that. Another thing she provides to you is a sample menu for the week. So for this week, and again, I just printed this off of her website. She provides you with this sample menu plan. So she says, you can be as specific as you want or as generic as you want. So this one's kind of both. So like Monday, she has spaghetti and salad. Well, you could be very specific and write, pasta bolognese and, a green salad or something, or just leave it open. Every Monday, that's what you do. You just do spaghetti and salad and you vary the spaghetti recipes. Totally up to you. Tuesday, she has breakfast for dinner. And so, if you just followed this, like some people just do Taco Tuesday and then they might do chicken tacos and beef tacos and whatever, right? You just have some variety within that. Just having a basic plan can be helpful. Every Monday you're going to have some kind of spaghetti. Every Tuesday you're going to have tacos or breakfast for dinner or whatever. Wednesday, she always does a crock pot dinner. So that could be anything, right? But it gives you a guideline and a plan. Thursday is salad and sandwich. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are rubber chicken. And with every meal, she says serve lots of salad or plenty of veggies. If you follow this menu plan, she has the actual grocery list already ready for you. You can just print it out. She also provides a crock pot recipe for you. Crock pot beef and peppers serves 8. She gives you the ingredients and the instructions and even the breakdown of all the calories and the protein and all of that. Then she gives you the rubber chicken recipes. So that's basically you start with like a rotisserie chicken or a roasting chicken. I'd start with the roasting chicken. And you roast it, and then the first night you have vegetables and roast chicken, of course, and maybe mashed potatoes on the side or something like that. And then day 2, she has an idea for like a chicken taco burrito kind of thing. And day 3, you're going to use the carcass for to make soup, to make stock. So this is a basic idea, and if you're a person that's new to meal planning, I think it's a fantastic idea to just have like a theme for each night of the week, and then you come up with the specific recipes each week. It gives you just some kind of guidance, so you're not just starting from scratch every week. So she suggests that you have a section in your control journal for your grocery list, your menu plans, and even frequently used recipes. And I used to have frequently used recipes in here until I just decided to make my own recipe book. I bought a bound book at Staples on clearance, and I just print out recipes I want, cut them out, and glue stick them to the paper, and so I'm like building a recipe book. But I used to keep them in here But then this got pretty big, and I was like, okay, it's time to separate. So I think that she has some really good ideas, and I think most important is that you are thinking about it and that you are planning for it, so that you are not that person that's standing in front of a fridge, and at 7 o'clock in the evening you've got, you know, stuff that's rotting or molding or whatever. You don't have enough stuff to make like a decent meal to put together. Everybody's hungry and hounding you, and then you end up ordering pizza again. And we all know that eating out is incredibly expensive, even if it's just McDonald's or pizza or whatever. And there's not a lot that we can do once you've cut out like luxury type things in your budget. There's not a lot you can do to reduce your budget except the grocery menu part of it. That's where you really do have some control, and you really can, you know, trim down your spending. And one way to do that is to make sure that you're cooking at home. So that's kind of some stuff about FlyLady's ideas on menu planning. And if you go on her website, she even close to the holidays will have like a whole Thanksgiving menu where she gives you recipes, grocery lists. She even has this past year, and I can't remember if she's always done this, but she'll put out like a timeline of when you should start cooking everything so that it's all ready to go. I mean, she really does support you in that respect. But now I want to talk to you about how I menu plan. And so my menu planning day is usually Sunday, sometimes Saturday, but usually Sunday, because I like to not be rushed. And my grocery errand day is on Monday. So I've set it up kind of around when the trash comes and when it's convenient for me to be able to go and do grocery shopping. So if my trash comes on Tuesday morning, I like to have everything that's garbage out of the house by Monday night. Well, on the weekend, I will go through my refrigerator and kind of wipe it out, clean it out, and I will make my menu plan. And that gives me an opportunity to get rid of anything that is just not, it's not happening for it. And then it goes out and it doesn't stink up my garbage for long. So when I menu plan on the weekend, the very first thing that I do is I grab a piece of paper and I inventory my fridge, freezer, and pantry. So when I say I inventory it, I take a couple minutes. I pull out my vegetable drawer, my fruit drawer, the little, snack meat drawer. I just kind of look around and I see, what do I have that I still need to use up? Now I've gotten pretty good at this system, and I very rarely have extra stuff. The only time I'll have extra stuff is if for some reason, our dinner plan didn't work out. Like if my husband comes home and says that he's, he went out to lunch and had a big lunch. Him and his coworkers go out and have pizza every Wednesday. And so there's like this big pizza buffet, and sometimes he eats a ton of pizza and he's not that hungry. So if he's not really that hungry for dinner, I might skip making, an elaborate dinner that night. Make him a sandwich or something when he gets hungry and make something easy for myself. And then I might have that extra meal, that extra food left over. Another instance where I might have extra food is if I buy like a really large pack of chicken because it's cheaper, and then I just, I'll do like my food prep when I, like usually on Tuesday, and I'll just get all the chicken ready. So I might chop some of it up, I might slice some of it up into like chicken fingers and leave some whole as chicken breasts or whatever, put them in separate freezer bags and freeze them. So that might be when I have some extra stuff. But I will take a quick inventory, and I'm not talking about writing down like I have, half a bottle of mustard, and I have, a quarter of a bottle of dried basil in the pantry. I just look at things that are perishable that need to be used up. So vegetables, fruit, meat. And then in my pantry, I'll look to see, do I have like potatoes, onions. You know, sometimes I'll buy a big bag of onions and then I've got like 2 or 3 left over. So I want to make sure that I make something that has onions in it. Or I might have like a couple cans of refried beans because there was a sale, and if you bought like, you know, 4, it was really cheap or whatever. I might have some tortillas left over because when you buy a pack of tortillas, you might not use the whole thing. So those kinds of things. I'm looking to see, what do I have that I can use up? If I buy a 2-pound block of cheese and I shred it all, well, I'm probably gonna have a lot of cheese left over. So maybe I want to, you know, make things that have cheese in them so that I can use that cheese up. So I'll make a list of what I have that I need to use up. After I do that, then I go ahead and see, you know, if I skipped a meal because my husband wasn't really, you know, hungry that night, do I have a complete meal that I can put together from my inventory? So I meal plan from my inventory. Sometimes it works out like that. In fact, it worked out like that this week. So I have hamburger buns, I have ground beef, and I have French fries. And so I have that meal because we were going to have hamburgers and fries one night. It ended up not happening. And so hamburgers and fries are going to happen sometime this next week, and I already have that complete meal ready to go. I'll still have leftover hamburger buns, so I'm going to want to use those before they go bad. Or I could freeze them, but I tend to want to use them. So I might make something different, like pulled pork in the crock pot, or well, this is part of meal planning, right? You could make sloppy joes, or you could make like a grilled chicken breast sandwich or something like that. So I will meal plan from my inventory. Then I will just straight up meal plan from past menus, requests, or I'll just start looking online, or in my recipe books. So another idea that FlyLady has is just sit down with your family and put the timer on for 10 minutes and say, in the next 10 minutes, I want you guys to tell me all of your favorite foods, all of your favorite meals. And that'll give you a good idea of some, you know, meal plans. They might tell you chili dogs, or, you know, meatloaf, or whatever you make. So that way you're not on your own, right? That would be a good way to get some requests. Sometimes I'll ask my husband, but we've been married for over 13 years now, and we very rarely go out to eat. I have made probably close to 13 years worth of dinners at home. It's an old conversation, and so I just try to make things, you know, after this long, I kind of know the stuff that he'll usually like, and so I just try to meal plan around that. I will look at past menus. So I always write it down in my planner, and if I have, you know, a planner for a year or a quarter or whatever, I'll just flip back through past weeks and see what we had and get some ideas. I'll flip through my recipe book, or sometimes I'll go online and I'll go to different websites where you can type in like a certain ingredient, like if I had leftover chicken in my inventory, I'll just type in chicken breast and it will give you, or just type in Google, you know, recipes with chicken breast, and it will give you a whole list of things, and I'll just start kind of searching through those for stuff that I like. So this is why I like to do it on the weekend, where I have, you know, some time to sit down and do it. And if I really buckle down, I can usually get it done, all of it, you know, pretty quick, definitely less than an hour, but sometimes I just, you know, want to move away from it, come back to it, whatever, and so sometimes it just takes all day to, you know, add things to the menu. So then once I have that done, I gather all recipes. So that means if I have to print them out, I'll print them out. Or if I need to, whatever, I'll just make sure that they're all in like one place, which is usually my recipe book. And then I will make a grocery list from my recipes and meal plan. So I'll look at the recipes one by one, and I'll just I'll take it on and I usually have it in my planner on like a notes page in my planner, but you could just have it on a piece of paper. Go into your kitchen with your recipes and start looking at what do you need. Do you have that? If you don't have it, write it down. If you do have it, great. You don't have to write it down on your grocery list. And once I've done that, I'll just put like a little check mark next to, I'll list, in fact, I'll show you. I'll list the recipes that, or the meals that I'm going to make. And once I've made sure that I have everything either on the list or in the house for that, I'll put a little check mark next to it. After I've done that and I've gone through all of my recipes and make sure I have everything I need, then I start thinking about grocery list for breakfast and lunch, because I tend to, when I'm doing meal planning, I am only planning a menu for the dinner because my husband doesn't eat breakfast. I do though, and my husband has his basic lunch that he takes, which will sometimes switch up, but I'm at home for lunch now, and so I have to think about that, because if I don't, then I usually forget that I even needed to make myself lunch. And then I'm standing in front of the fridge at noon going, I'm starving, what am I making? And there's nothing there. So I will do a grocery list for breakfast and lunch. So do I have eggs, bread, whatever I'm going to have for breakfast? I'll think about that for myself. I try not to forget the weekends. So don't forget the weekends. What are you going to be making for breakfast on the weekends when everybody's home? That's when my husband will eat breakfast. And then I need to think about lunch. What am I going to have for lunch for myself? What am I going to make for lunch on the weekends? Usually I will try to make enough that I have leftovers for lunch from our previous night's dinner, but it doesn't always work out that way. So don't forget your breakfast and lunch. And I would say, and snacks, because I know at this point in my life I want snacks. So then I'll do that. The next thing I'll do, I'll put grocery list around the house. I take my grocery list, or my, what's turning into my grocery list, and I walk around the house and I just check cupboards. So, where I keep the extra toilet paper. Do we have toilet paper? I'll just take a quick glance in the bathrooms. Do we have soap on the counter? I'll look at my cleaning supplies. Do I need any of this stuff? And that takes all of maybe, 3-4 minutes in the bathroom. Do we have toothpaste, deodorant, shampoo, all of that? Just adding it to my list. Trash bags, Ziploc bags, tin foil, things like that, paper towels, napkins, just, glancing through the pantry, glancing through everything just to make sure that I have all the stuff that I need, because I really only want to go to the grocery store one time a week. I go once a week. When I was working, sometimes I would try to work it so I'd go twice a week, or I'm sorry, twice a month. But because I can go once a week, I like that my vegetables are, fresher. And one thing that I think you'll find is when you make a grocery list, and I mean, to some people this probably seems like super detailed, way too organized, overkill. But I have found that I shouldn't say never, I very rarely throw away food at this point, because whatever I buy, I have a plan for, and I use it. And I stick to my plan. I almost never go off plan unless my husband says he's not hungry, and then I will, because I know I'll have a complete meal that I can save, and I don't want to make this big meal and then have, half of it, he's not even going to eat it, you know what I mean? So I like this because it ensures that what I buy, I use, and I very rarely throw things away. Things almost never go bad in this house. That saves me money. I don't just impulse buy things. If it's not on my list, I don't buy it. That almost never happens, because I know I have thoroughly thought through everything that I need. So it's not like I'm looking at the store going, oh, look at this really great deal on whatever, I should buy some of that. I don't ever do that, just because I don't have the money and I don't have the space, and if I didn't have a plan for it, it's very likely that I'm not going to use it. So this is my approach to meal planning, and I have been doing this for a really long time, and I've even gotten to the point, and I'm almost embarrassed to share this with you, but when I make my grocery list, so I'll show you what I have in my planner. That's just kind of my brainstorm. But then I have a little field note size notebook that I will bring with me to the grocery store that has my list in it, and it will have any errands that I need to run for the day. In fact, I will go grab that and show you. And one thing that I have done is, since you go to the grocery store all the time and you kind of know where things are, I will put things in the order roughly that I know I'm going to see them in the grocery store, so that I can just go down my list and check off, so I don't have to keep looking and scanning through my list the whole time. And I find that it saves me time, and I do a lot less impulse buying, because some areas of the grocery store I will never even go to because I don't need to go there, and that keeps me from wasting my time going up and down every aisle, frustration from having to like move around people, and the possibility that I might spend something that I didn't need to spend. So if you will hold on, I will very quickly go grab my field note size notebook. Okay, thank you for holding. Yes, thank you for holding. Okay, so let me pull up what I'm talking about. So in my planner, I'm in my last book of the Success Choice, which makes me really sad, but I'm going to use it up. Okay, so here are some ideas, and you can see that I do it every single week. So I'll just start here. In the Success Choice Planner, you get a notes page before every week, which I really like. So what I've done is I took an inventory. So I'm going to show you that. I think it's going to be really tiny here. So here's the inventory of what I have. Like, I had tortillas, I had 3 cans of refried beans, I had some sliced up beef, 4 chicken breasts, I had all kinds of, I had a tomato, I had lettuce, carrots, broccoli, I had rice. So this was my inventory of what I had. Then I went ahead and I made a menu. So I decided I was going to have these things, and as I used up stuff that I had in my inventory, I crossed it off. Then from there, I made my grocery list, which is over here. And as I went through and made my grocery list, I would mark off that yes, I made sure I had all of the ingredients for each of these things, and it was here, or I already had it in my pantry. Then I went ahead and I just added it to my meal plan here in the Success Choice. So this is an example of 1 week. I'll show you another one. So here's another one. Here you can see where I took my inventory. I had 2 onions. I still have those 2 refried beans. If it's not perishable, I'm not too concerned with it, like pasta. I had some Swiss cheese. I had asparagus. So I made my menu, made my grocery list, and then I transferred it over into my little book, and I laid out my menu plan. The one thing I like about this is I can look and see what is happening for the week, right? And based on what's happening, if I have a busy day, like for example, Thursdays are always going to be a little bit hectic for me because I tutor somebody up until 5:30. So I know that when I come home, my husband's going to be hungry, and I need something easy on Thursday. So I always try to like look at my menu, or look at my week, and plan my menu around my week as well. If I could do a crock pot meal, I'll do that. My husband isn't very fond of crock pot meals, which is unfortunate for me. Here is this week. So let's see. Here was my inventory. I had a small inventory of things to use up. Here was my menu plan. Here was my grocery list. So one of the things that I did here was I noted like that my dad was coming over for dinner here and here and here because my mom was out of town. And I did that when I planned out, this is this week. So I had a lot of stuff to do this week, so I tried to make it pretty simple. And then here we are. So next week, I'll just flip the page and I'll make my menu, do all my meal planning here. Once I actually write out my grocery list, so whatever, like this was a very large grocery list. Once I write out my grocery list in there, and I've got an idea of what I'm doing, I will get a field note size notebook. So I have a video on these, but this is my little notebook that I just put in my purse. And you can see that what I do is I just write out this is just all grocery lists basically. Little bits of information, but almost all of it is grocery lists. And so what I do is if I have different errands to run, so like here, these were the errands that I had to run. I just happened to write them there because I ran out of room here. But sometimes I'll write them up like at the top or something like that, because I like to do it all in one day. And then I will group things as I see them in the order in the grocery store. So when I go to the grocery store, the very first place I go is like fresh vegetables and fruits. And then like directly across from that aisle in the grocery store I go to, they have things like crackers and chips and beef jerky and stuff like that. Then I go to the meat and cheese and deli area in the back, then the dairy, frozen foods, and then if I have any kind of household goods, and then like all the canned kind of stuff, juices, things like that. So I even write it in the order that I'm going to find it in the grocery store so I don't waste time wandering around. And once this little book is done, I throw it away and I get a new one. The great thing about this little book is it has a pocket in the back. So that is my approach to meal planning or menu planning and making grocery lists. I know once I've gone through this process that I will have everything I need for the week. And if you do meal prep, then you know that you're covered. And I do a little bit of food prep. I used to do a lot more when I worked full time, but I still do some now. So like when I come home from the store, if I buy a large pack of chicken or I think a big bag of carrots or something, I'll take some time. I'll in one of my on a day, and I'll just do food prep so that it's all ready to go. And that even makes my cooking in the evening a lot faster. Like I said, when I worked full time, I would take the weekend. Basically, I'd grocery shop on a Saturday, come home, and either Saturday or Sunday, I would do all of my food prep so that I wouldn't have, a huge pack of chicken sitting in the fridge that I had to deal with on like a Wednesday night. It just made my life a whole lot easier, a lot less stressful. And then cooking in the evening wasn't so much of a burden. So if I knew that I was going to make like a chicken stir fry and I was going to have, some carrots and broccoli and whatever in it, I would on the weekend chop up all my chicken into the pieces I wanted it, put it in freezer bags, freeze it. I would go through and I would prep all my vegetables. So I'd chop up my broccoli the size I wanted, put it in a bag or a mason jar, chop up my carrots, and then I knew that all I had to do that night was just put it all together in the wok. So that was another way that it made my life easier. I know that some people are going to think I'm insane because I do all of these things, but I only did all of these things because it did make my life easier and less stressful, and it did make cooking dinner, a real dinner in the evening, a whole lot easier. I was exhausted when I would get home, and I know that you are too. And so if I had, time on the weekend that I could do that, I didn't look at it like, oh, I'm not going to get to, go do this for 2 hours or whatever. I looked at it like I was saving myself, energy, time, frustration, stress during the week by just taking a couple hours and prepping everything. You know, if I wanted to take washed grapes and carrot sticks and celery sticks with me for lunch, I would have all of those things washed up, portioned out, so that I could just grab a bag and go. Things like that make your life a whole lot easier. So I've gone on now for way too long, but I did say that some of these videos would be longer than others. I think that it's worth talking about because this is something that we all deal with on a daily basis. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Otherwise, I will see you next time for my next video on the FlyLady system. I really hope that this was helpful. Again, this is just how I do it. But even if you did something as basic as the FlyLady, like having a theme every night for dinner, that is better than doing nothing, right? So I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you find that your life is getting easier with the FlyLady. I know that mine did. And I will see you later. Bye.